Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our monthly Heritage Board meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. Do we have any declarations of conflicts today? Okay, seeing none, I will send along regrets from Tara Maloney. She's not able to attend today. And can I get an approval of the agenda, please? Okay, moved by Kenny McGuinness and seconded by Aaron Stavert. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. Adoption of the minutes from Monday, July 31st. Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. Looking right at you. I'm so sorry, Simon. Jeepers. Yeah, it's been one of those days. Thank you, Jason. Adoption of the minutes. Okay, moved by Emile and seconded by Kenny. And any business arising from those minutes? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to our reports. We have two today, and our first one is 34 Ambrose Street, and it is an application for an addition to a house, and I'll turn that over to Todd.
So 34 Ambrose is a two-story residence on the southeast corner of Ambrose and Villa. It was designed by Benjamin Chappell. It was built in the Queen Anne Revival style and has typical characteristics of the style, such as an asymmetrical design and a variety of roof lines. The front entry faces Ambrose Street with the back door and driveway off Villa Avenue. So this is an application for a new attached garage with a bonus room above. The addition is located on the east side of the house, linking with the existing back porch and using the driveway off Villa Avenue. There had been a detached garage in the southeast corner of the property, but that was destroyed during Hurricane Fiona. So the new garage would be located closer to the street, and that would free up the southern portion of the property for a backyard. So the proposal includes a 24.5-foot by 34-foot, two-story addition, and it will accommodate a two-car garage, an exercise room, and a bonus room above. The main roof pitch will match the existing pitch, and a smaller pitched roof will replace the existing slope roof where the new addition connects to the house. Two single-car garage doors front on Villa Avenue with a double window above. Single man doors located on both the south and the east elevations, as well as two windows on the east side. There's an entry door to the house from the interior of the garage. The materials proposed will match others currently in place on the house. The roof will be clad in asphalt shingles to match the remainder of the building, and the walls will be clad in wood shingle to match. Staff is recommending approval of the proposal, given that it's in keeping with the scale and style of the original building, and the materials and detailing are consistent with the existing.
Thank you, Todd, for your report. Does anyone have any questions? No questions. So staff is recommending to approve this. So do we have, okay, moved by Kenny McGuinness, seconded by Sharon Larder. So all those in favor? Great. Thank you. So Todd, this means it doesn't go along to council. That's correct. So it's finished here. So thank you, everybody. So we can go on to our next report, and it's 10 Prince Street, and it's a discussion regarding potential temporary designation. So over to you again, Todd.
So the property's on the northeast corner of Prince and Water Streets in the downtown mixed-use neighborhood. The building's been occupied it was occupied until about 1950 sometime as a single-family residence. Since about 1976, it's been various commercial businesses. So it's a simple vernacular house form. It supports both streetscapes and the heritage character of the area. Records available do not reveal the exact age of the house, but it would be consistent with styles of a typical home built around 1900. The property is not designated as a heritage resource, but it's located in the 500 lot area. And the city's just received an application for development of the site, which will be reviewed under the zoning and development bylaw, which has special provisions for the 500 lot area. And the proposal will be subject to the design review process. If the proposal were to be approved, it would involve the demolition or removal of the existing building. And the demolition is an as-of-right under the zoning and development bylaw. So we're just asking today whether or not Heritage Board feels there's a desire to request that council impose a temporary designation on the property, thus slowing or preventing its demolition. The building appears to be in reasonable condition. It addresses the street corner and it fits the scale of the area. Although there are bands of scallop shingles, there are a few other unique features. The 1878 panoramic view shows what appears to be a similar house on, a smaller house on the property. And unless the house was renovated and added to, it appears that the current building was constructed later than 1878. The fire insurance plan updated to 1917 shows a 1.5-story wood frame dwelling. And it has a similar footprint to the western portion of the house, suggesting that it's possible that this would be the building that's still there with an eastern section added after 1917. The area surrounding the site has seen some transformation in recent years with development of both a 3-story and a 4-story condominium on the waterfront. In addition to Founders Hall, the area is dominated by simple wood frame housing and a few brick buildings. The heritage evaluation score of the building is 63, which falls about midpoint for eligibility, which we have eligible properties anywhere from 40 to 100 points. This may be compared to a score of 62 that we had for 267 Fitzroy Street recently, where designation was requested by the owner and approved. Or we could compare it to a score of 56 for 231 Richmond Street that we discussed recently as well, which we did not recommend for designation. But again, the evaluation criteria is only one factor being considered. So the proposed development, again, will be reviewed under the zoning and development bylaw regulations, and it does not fall under the purview of the Heritage Board. The proposed development is for a 4-story building with a commercial unit on the ground floor and a residential unit on the second floor and a second residential unit that occupies the 3rd and 4th floors. So I have a number of images of the proposed development, but it's not really the question for the board. The question for the board is whether or not the board wants to recommend to council to designate the existing building as a heritage resource.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions? Go ahead, Emile.
Sit down, okay. I don't understand, so this committee can hold off a decision on demolitions until the council can make or the other committee can make a decision in regards to if it approves the new proposed project, is that it?
I think I'm going to let Todd answer this. She's far more familiar with the heritage bylaw than I am. Go ahead.
What we're asking this committee is, do we want to designate this property? And if we did, we would recommend to council to impose a temporary designation, which would hold up any development for 45 days, during which time we could do more research on the property to see if it had any historic value. And if council, after it went out to a public, consultation and got feedback, and then it would come back through this board, and if they recommended again that it be designated, council could ultimately designate it, which would prohibit its demolition.
Just to follow up on Emile's question, so if I hear you correctly, Todd, if this committee chose to put a heritage designation on it, it would go on to council, and if this committee decided to not impose the heritage designation, would it be completed here at this level, okay?
Right, we wouldn't really impose a designation, we would only be recommending to council that they do it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead, Emile.
So we have not been asked by anybody to, like, the owners, nobody's asked us to put a historic, so I'm a little confused about that. So we could put one on any property we wanted in the 500 lot without people asking us?
That's correct. No, there has been no request at all for a heritage designation. Todd, can you clarify that?
You're right, the property owner has not requested this. In fact, they are requesting that they be permitted to go forward with their development. We are asking Heritage Board to ensure that the city doesn't have a historic property here that we should be protecting. It's not currently designated. It's just prior to issuing a demolition permit, we want to be sure that the Heritage Board does not feel that this has some potential heritage significance that we should be protecting. Otherwise, we won't do anything, and the property owner's application will proceed through the zoning requirements.
Thank you, Todd. Question, Councillor McCabe?
Clarification, basically. So the owner's not asking for a designation. There is no designation. So anybody in the city can ask for a designation on any property? Is that?
This is coming from staff. This is coming from staff so that we don't permit something to happen that Heritage Board wouldn't want to happen. Anybody can propose a designation, but it would come to this board for consideration.
So staff is asking this committee,
That's
but there
correct.
is no designation.
That's right.
I'm not looking to.
Councillor McCabe, are you wondering, is staff proposing a recommendation that we put a heritage designation on this? Is that what I'm hearing? Or is it just staff wanting this board to discuss it?
Yes, staff's not recommending that this be done. We're just asking for the board's opinion so that when, last time with 231 Prince Street, we had said that they could proceed with that, and then we were appealed and had to come here. So now we're just bringing it here first.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Beck.
It sounds to me like it's a little bit of a just buying some time to ascertain certain aspects on this building, if I understand it correctly. Where temporary designation, just to make sure that no steps are missed, because once the building's gone, the building's gone. So for me, I don't see a problem with a 30 to 45 day, if that's what Todd is asking, is somewhere in that vicinity, 30 to 45 days to further examine it to make sure. Am I clear on that, Todd? Sorry,
No,
through to
I'm
Todd.
not asking for that. I'm not recommending that we put a temporary designation on it. I'm just taking it here to ask the board if they want to put a temporary designation on it. To be honest, we've looked at any information we have on the property, and we've presented that here now. That's all we've been able to garner on the property. We're just making sure that should anybody from the public come forward, once a demolition permit is approved, that we have done due diligence and asked the Heritage Board.
Thank you for that. The only thing I'm not clear on is, normally, when things come to the board, the report comes with a staff recommendation, and so we're not really getting a recommendation one way or the other. We're being asked to make that decision. So I'm just looking for clarification in terms of our process, and maybe I'll ask CAO Mohammed or Donna for clarification, because normally that's not how we do it. So, thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair. So what Todd is asking is that we want to be clear going forward that when we see a property that has any potential heritage characteristics, that we don't just demolish it without having some feedback from this committee or this board. So she's not recommending that you agree or disagree. She just wants to know what you feel about it. Is it that if we demolish it and somebody from the public comes and says, oh, it has some heritage characteristics and we should have considered it for designation, how do we move forward from there?
Go ahead, Councillor
No,
McCabe.
well, I would assume that most of our designations in the 500 lot area are probably known, are they not?
They are. They are all known.
Okay, so I don't think we need to go looking for more if they're not there. I'm not a heritage expert, of course, that's why I count on staff recommendation when I look at these things, but if it's not designated, it's not designated. The owner's not looking for it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McCabe. Go ahead, Sharon.
I'd like to recommend that we look further into the heritage designation for this property. This is one of my favorite buildings. It's aesthetically extremely appealing, and I think there will be a public outcry if it's taken down. So my recommendation is to look further into its heritage value.
Okay.
I see a difference oh, sorry.
So we have, well, we should complete this process here first. There's a motion on the floor by Sharon. Is there a seconder? And then we can have some discussion. Okay, seconded by Norman, or Councillor Beck, I'm sorry. And so we can open that now up for discussion based on the motion. So go ahead, Councillor Beck.
Sharon, if you want to, did you want to speak first on it? I guess just having gone through a similar but different process, I'd rather take a little bit of time here and just make sure that this is the right thing to do. Having gone through this here recently, and to make sure that everyone is comfortable with it in terms of exploring the options and making the correct decision. I don't think it's a big ask in terms of time. I don't think it might be delayed temporarily, but I do agree with Sharon in the sense that there are some streetscape questions that I would have, or I think it does fit very well with where the property is currently situated in its current form. Not to say that the other project may be valid as well too, but I would certainly, I don't want to make missteps, and I like to make sure that that we're comfortable. Right at this point in time, I'm not comfortable to make that decision.
Thank you, Councillor Beck. I would be curious of where in our heritage bylaw does it permit this committee to do what we're doing today? And Todd, do you know where it is that this is something, because in all of my years on heritage, I've never experienced this before. So I'm a bit perplexed that the actual planning heritage board is being asked to make the recommendation versus the experts, which are the staff, giving us a recommendation on how they see we should be going forward with this. And maybe I'm just missing the point here, but if I could just get clarification on that, thank you. And Todd, if you can, that would be great. If not, we could always ask Donna.
Sure, sorry, I don't have the bylaw in front of me. However, there is a section, and it does say staff can ask council to do that. I would do that in consultation with the Heritage Board. So the board would make a recommendation really to council to ask for a temporary designation. Council can say yes or no to that.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Beck.
And that's a valid point. I think this is I think it warrants a larger discussion and input from more committee members. I wouldn't want to see it die here. I think I think this is important to get perspective, a broader perspective than just the Heritage Committee. So I would support moving it to council for, as a motion put forth here today. So I think that's another step in the process to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Thank you, Councillor Beck. So the motion is from this board to recommend to council to put a temporary heritage designation for staff to get further information and history around this building. Is that correct? Yep. Okay, so it's been moved by Sharon, seconded by Councillor Beck. Any other questions?
No, I think I'm okay. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Emile.
Just wondering, and following up on what Councilor Beck indicated, I'm more concerned in regards to the landscape, in regards to, yes, there might be some historical content and all that in regards to the building, but what's being proposed, will that fit into what's there? You know, looking at the Prince and Water Restaurant across and other buildings around it, will it fit what's there? Like what we saw there, not sure. So will that be coming back to this committee?
So I can speak to that. No, it won't be coming back to this committee, but it will be going through the planning board, and it will also go through design review. So that's where you'll catch those other aspects of that, whether it fits into the streetscape. And so that's when an independent design reviewer will look at that and look at all those aspects of it. But you won't see it at this committee, but you'll see it at design review and you'll see it at planning board. Any other questions? If not, we can ask for a vote. All those in favor? Okay. All right, it's unanimous. All in favor to move this along to council for a final decision. Thank you. Okay, thank you for that. Is there any introduction to new business? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Okay, moved by Lucas, seconded by Kenny. All those in favor? Okay, thank you and have a great evening.